This is the Now San Diego.
A toddler is in the hospital after being viciously attacked by two Rottweilers. It happened while the little boy was out for a walk with his mother and sister. 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco has been tweeting about this horrific attack since she got to the scene. She's joining us now live in La Mesa, where the neighbors pulled the dogs off the child. Rachel.
Kimberly, this was a brutal attack. The two dogs were kept in an enclosed area on the side of that large gray house. The mom and her two kids were simply walking by when the dogs broke free and charged them. Here's a look at the two female Rottweilers. They are under quarantine at the animal shelter in El Cajon right now. The dogs are each 2 years old. Neighbors who jumped in to help say the dogs were attacking the 2-year-old boy as he sat in his stroller. They bit his mom several times when she tried to get them off her son. It happened just after 8 this morning here on Waite Drive. Jameer Grisby heard the screams from his apartment building. He started punching the dogs to get them away from the little boy.
Basically, there was still a stroller. The boy was still kind of in the stroller, like strapped a little bit, and the dogs were just yanking him, biting him everywhere. When I was there, one of them had his arm, biting his fingers, and then another one was like biting his head.
The dogs were in this secure area on the side of the house. The owner told us they chewed through this metal fence and then jumped up and pulled down the lever to a second door. He says he's had the dogs, named Stella and Cookie, since they were puppies. He says they have never been aggressive with his children or anyone else. Police say after they're done investigating, a decision will be made about whether the dogs should be put down. You'll hear what the owner has to say about that coming up new at 5 o'clock. That toddler is at Children's Hospital with severe injuries, expected to have surgery on his arm and possibly his head. Reporting live in La Mesa, Rachel Bianco, 10 News.
Such a mystery what triggered that, and our thoughts are with that child right now. Thank you, Rachel. We just checked. In the last year, there have been a total of over 2,300 dog bites in San Diego County. The most aggressive breeds are pit bulls with 267 bites, Labrador retrievers with 142 bites, and Chihuahuas with 129 bites.
Breaking news tonight, part of the 15 has been shut down after a major crash. We have a picture to show you right here. This happened up in Temecula, just a horrible situation for everyone involved. You can see this big rig that almost flew off the freeway. 4 people have reportedly been hurt in this crash. And of course, it is creating some traffic nightmares. This is a live look at the traffic conditions. You can see this is the Temecula area. We've got the 15 north. Mostly red, moving slowly along. 15 south is a little bit better at this time. It appears some of the lanes have been blocked going north. No word at this time, though, about the extent of the injuries of those involved in this horrific crash. Let's go back to you.
Yeah, that's a bad one. Thank you so much, Jen. The driver accused of plowing into a man helping a couple stranded on the side of the road in Ocean Beach has pleaded guilty to hit-and-run charges. Jaron Hillier hit Julio Vasquez on Sunset Cliffs Boulevard and sheared off the door of the car that he was trying to help restart. With a crash in April left Vasquez with a broken leg. Police say Hillier was driving on a suspended license with no insurance and fled the scene. Hillier will be sentenced next month.
Topic our lineup on this Thursday afternoon, and suicides now linked to the popularity of those ride-sharing apps. It's a serious topic that we're diving into today, an exclusive here on The Now. We're also talking about bad habits when it comes to sleep, things we're actually doing before bed, even during the day, that leaves us feeling tired the next morning. Great information for you there. And also in our lineup, are you overpaying for your cell phone? Well, competition's heating up. That means some pretty cheap plans. We're gonna do some comparison shopping for you. And how do you build a successful lemonade stand? Yeah, these girls know. They have one of the best stands in the country. Their success is having a huge impact on their community. We're going to catch up with them a little later in the hour.
Thank you, Chris. We look forward to that. And new questions brewing after President Trump signed the executive order to reunite families separated at the border. Today, the House rejected a conservative immigration bill with no citizenship pathway for Dreamers. And a vote on another immigration bill, considered a compromise bill, is now delayed until next week. President Trump has expressed his vote for both bills, and now Pentagon sources telling ABC News military bases may be used to house the 20,000 migrant children. 10 News anchor Ariel Wessler is live at the El Cajon detention facility. Ariel, you actually talked to the Pentagon about this afternoon.
Yeah, Kimberly, that's right. And so far, I have not heard back as to whether San Diego bases will be affected by this, if they'll house children. But here in El Cajon, we know there are 63 children that are at this specific center. But the president's executive order will not affect them. And right now, however, it could affect incoming cases and have an impact in court. Now, this isn't the first time that bases have been used to house children. Unaccompanied minors have been housed before. In 2014, an emergency shelter was set up at Naval Base Ventura County. It housed 180 children in a warehouse converted into a care center on the base. Now, according to the Washington Post, the Defense Department received a request for help from the Health and Human Services. Earlier today, our state Senator Ben Hueso weighed in on the issue.
The executive order alone, I think, is a fraud itself. I think it will do nothing to reunite families immediately. It will never repair the damage and the trauma that was done to these kids and to these families.
At this point, it remains unclear what will happen to the more than 2,300 children separated from their parents at the border in recent weeks. Officials have said they're working to reunite families, but have not provided any clear answers as to how. Meantime, we got word today that California's Attorney General is joining a multi-state lawsuit against the Trump administration for what he says was separating children from their parents without, quote, any legitimate justification. We're live in El Cajon tonight. Ariel Wessler, 10 News.
Ariel, thank you. And California Senator Kamala Harris is expected to visit the Otay Mesa Immigration and Detention Facility tomorrow. She's been very vocal about immigration reform and protecting the rights of women and children. She will tour the facility and meet with the mothers who have been separated from their children.
First Lady Melania Trump taking an unannounced visit to the Texas-Mexico border today. She got a first-hand look at the detention facilities where immigrant kids are taken. Her first stop was in McAllen. That's where she was briefed by medical staff and social workers. Experts giving her a rundown of what happens during the child's first 24 hours at the shelter. First Lady is the first member of the Trump family to personally visit one of these detention centers. And U.S. Customs and Border Protection saying today that it started implementing President Trump's executive order to keep families together at the border. But the big question is, what's happening to the 2,300 kids already separated from their parents? The Secretary of Homeland Security says today they're working to reunite them.
As you know, we do it on the back end. So it's a combination of DHS, DOJ, HHS, reuniting as quickly as we can. But don't forget, the vast majority of those kids are UACs.
Yeah, a lot of abbreviations there. UAC means unaccompanied alien children. That's the legal term for kids who don't have an immigration status in the U.S. and they don't have a parent or legal guardian here either. Now, you heard her say that they're doing those reunions quickly. She's not saying exactly how long that's going to take. The process is complicated because these children have been sent to facilities across the U.S., like this facility here. This is in New York City. Customs and Border Protection says today the reunions will happen after parents are back in Border Patrol custody, after they've been prosecuted. Now, another big change happening for people entering the U.S., this one impacting international flights. Orlando International, now the first airport to use a face scan for when you leave and enter the country. Now, we first told you about this in the spring. They started using face scans for departing international flights. So instead of using a boarding pass, passengers actually step onto a platform and they get their picture taken. The camera searches a database and they clear the passenger to board. Now, critics say there's no plan in place if someone isn't cleared to board. Sometimes there are problems because the photo doesn't match the one that Homeland Security has in that database. Now, other experts say this technology, it has trouble recognizing minorities, has trouble recognizing women and children. Even so, these face scanners will be used in all airports in 4 years. All right, let's get to our first check of the news feed here. Just a quick summary of the news making headlines today. And look at the cleanup in Pennsylvania. Just check out this video right here. Nearly 4 inches of rain near Pittsburgh. Now, we were just talking about the president. We've learned next month that he could be meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin. It would happen during President Trump's trip to the UK. And the application for a white nationalist rally outside the White House, it has been approved. Now, Now, it's going to be run by the same person who organized that deadly rally in Virginia last year. The rally will be held on the anniversary of that Charlottesville event. All right, let's get back to our lineup here, and there is a good chance, let's face it, you're overpaying for your cell phone, but the competition, it is heated up. We are checking out some of the best deals that you might be passing up. You're watching The Now.